So our purpose today is to collectively learn and advance our understanding and capacity for teaching and learning of reading and writing. And we are going to look at the norms of collaboration, the 7 norms of collaboration, and kind of read through them and choose one that you want to be intentional about in our time today. We have different sessions, so maybe choose something that you think will help carry through the sessions that is important to you and your work. Away in your head, you'll notice in your packet today one of the last sheets is kind of a note-taking sheet. It has 4 squares on it and a blank back page. We put that there so you can kind of record thoughts from different sessions. So if you want to write down what norm that you're going to focus on, you can do that. Not required. We just wanted you to note that that paper was there. Our learning intention today is going to be able to communicate the purpose of LCN to gain knowledge and skill relating to impacting instruction for all learners. So we really focus on a core overarching question for our LCN this year, and that is, how might we collectively grow all learners, whether that's students or adults in our buildings, our districts, our classrooms. We want you to be thinking about that theme kind of as we move throughout the day. And then to be able to communicate actionable items back to your district. So there's that question. In what ways will we collectively grow all learners? We're going to talk about some LCN structures this morning. We'll go through Google Classroom really quickly because we're going to be using that for housing our slides and a problem of practice study. And then we'll do some reflection and action at the end. So we're trying to be mindful of that triple track agenda. What can we model for you that you can take back? What is your own learner experience, and what strategies can you draw from this learning so that you can move forward and continue learning both for yourself and for those that you instruct or impact in your building and district? You'll also notice we're passing the swivel mic. We are recording today, so at any point you could go back and review this, or someone who's not here you could share it with. So Christi, have the mic.
Yep. So we're going to start by taking a look at, this is our overall structure for the year. We have 4 meetings. So if you've come in years past, you know that that's a little bit different. This is all based on data that we really dug into and took a look at and tried to be incredibly responsive to your needs, and knowing that kind of come after Christmas, things really get down to crunch time in your buildings. And in the spring, you start all of your testing and trying to look at the kiddos that you have and the needs of the teachers that are in your building. And so we looked at the data and really decided that we're going to front load your year and then find ways to support you in different ways, not in this space, throughout the rest of the year. So we have 4 meetings. There is a snow makeup day in there. All of our meetings are centered around this theme of how will we collectively grow all learners. We have a morning session, and then we have some hot or not topic conversations. We'll bring some articles to you, and you can choose which article you'd like to dive into around different topics in literacy. Afternoon session, and then we have a group closure. For that group closure, you'll come back to this room. So today, we have a bit.ly address that you can access for these resources. The one thing that I want to call your attention to is we made a room switch on the schedule. And so if you are signed up for the Jill Jackson coaching, you will stay in here. So Jill Jackson coaching will stay in the Grand. Kittle and Gallagher will switch to the Coldwater. So if you'd like to make a note of that on your schedule. And like I said, we'll end our day back here. So our morning session is really centered around 3 different topics, and we'll be taking a deep dive into 3 separate texts. The first one is this Essentials of Assessing, Preventing, and Overcoming Reading Difficulties. It's written by David Kilpatrick. He really focuses on word reading difficulties, and so if that is of interest to you, that's where you would go, and you will study this book throughout the course of the year. The second book we have is by Jill Jackson, and it's called How to Coach Teachers to Teach Almost Anything. And this is really the basic foundational structure of coaching. So if you're just getting into coaching, or you want some support on how to get yourself organized, how to get started, what things you might use for note-taking, that kind of thing, this is really what this session will live in. And we'll be going through that book throughout the year. And then the last one is 180 Days by Kelly Gallagher and Penny Kittle. They come from a secondary perspective. They use a lot of student choice, student voice, project-based. So I went and listened to Penny Kittle when she came last year, and there were a lot of applications, even though it was secondary, there were a lot of applications to elementary. So that is also an option. Each of these speakers are coming this year. Usually in years past we've only had one main speaker come. We are having all 3 of these guys come. So Kilpatrick came already last week. Jill Jackson will be coming February. And then Kelly Gallagher and Penny Kittle will be coming for a 3-day workshop in June. So like Sarah mentioned, we are using Google Classroom to house all of our materials. Each session has their own classroom code. The classroom codes are printed in your packet. You can access any of the classrooms even if you're not at that session. You just need to use the classroom code. So if you want information from one session, just use the code for the other session, and you can have access to the materials there. This is also where we will house our articles that we do during that Hot or Not topic. The electronic copies of all of those will be housed in Google Classroom, as well as your problem of practice guide. We will be diving into this and getting you connected at the beginning of each of your breakout sessions. We're not going to dive in and get connected right now, but we'll do that when you go to your breakout session. Okay. So you've heard a couple mentions of this problem of practice. If you were here last year, you know that we worked through an implementation guide to kind of foster your reflection and thinking and really taking what you learn and doing something with it. It's not enough to just get information, but you have to do something with it in order for it to be effective for your building, for your teachers, for your students. And we took that idea and refined it a little bit, and we used this design thinking process. So with design thinking, what you'll notice is that there is a linear path, but each of these then loops back to something else. So you can go through the steps, but it really is a nonlinear process because there are so many open points and opportunities for reflection and refinement. This is the process that you will be using to reflect and refine and implement the things that you are learning during LCN this year. The other thing about this that's a little bit different than last year's. Last year we did it by session. This year you'll be taking all of the information that you've learned throughout the day and putting it together in a way that will inform something that you are finding kind of a stuckness with in your own practice or in your building or with your students. In Google Classroom, you'll have a problem of practice guide, and we'll dig into this a lot more this afternoon. But what it is a format to guide your thinking through those design process steps. And this will be housed in Google Classroom. It really is for your use and your thinking and your reflection. And we'll come back to this same guide every session when we're here together. Okay. So we're going to start, now that you have a little bit of background of what the end of the day looks like, we're going to have you sort of set an intention for yourself of what might your focus be as you learn throughout the day. And in order to get that, we're going to have you start thinking about a problem of practice that you might be experiencing. Where is a place within your practice that you feel a little bit stuck? Where is a place in your practice that you are here hoping, if I could just get this, my kiddos would be here? Or if I could figure out how to do this, we would see a lot of growth. Often problems of practice are best phrased as a question. And there's some research behind the question-based thinking, and that it sparks our curiosity and actually makes our brains want to learn more and hold on to information a little bit better. And so instead of saying, I want to learn more about XYZ so that my kids will make progress, you might phrase it somewhat like, how might I grow all of the learners in my building by supporting teachers in this way? So think of it more as a wondering question, a thoughtful question. And begin to think about where you feel a little bit stuck and where you might want to improve your practice and how that might focus you for the day. Okay, so we're going to give you a couple of minutes for individual and silent thinking. You can jot your problem of practice question on the note-taking sheet that Sarah showed you, or you can jot it in the notebook that you typically carry around with you. Whatever you'll be taking notes on during the day is where you'll want to keep that problem of practice question or statement.
As you're finishing up your reflection, if you pull out your blue sheet, you will see those 3 books that Christi listed are listed on the 8:30 to 10:30 morning session. Just a reminder, Jill Jackson's staying in here. Kittle and Gallagher are going to the Coldwater, which is around the corner on your left. And if you're going to David Kilpatrick's Assessing Reading Difficulty, that's around the corner in the Cedar on your right. Okay? When you are ready, you may kind of quietly take your things and make your way to where you're going, or take a restroom break, grab coffee if you need to.